Hi, thank you for joining me, and welcome to day 4 of 30 Ways to Wellbeing. If you haven't already watched the introductory video, that'll give you a bit more background on what this series is about. But for today's session, I am going to go straight in and we are going to be discussing self-care. So yesterday I took you on a journey in wild swimming all the way into the water and out again. Today's is a little bit calmer and you don't need to go anywhere. So essentially all of these strategies are about self-care, but this one is a little bit more focused. So, okay, statistically, Denmark is the happiest place on the planet, which is quite surprising since they have even longer and darker winters than we do. And I don't know about you, but I'm finding ours quite difficult this year. The daylight seems to be so short. But why is that? So they have a concept called Hygge, which is spelled Hygge. It looks like Hygge, and that is in fact how I pronounced it for the first few months of hearing it and reading about it. But it's pronounced Hygge, and this is a Scandinavian concept for what happiness is, and it's the idea that happiness is about finding pleasure in little moments. So it's about self-care, and it's about noticing the relationships you have for others and really identifying those as things that make you feel happy. So one of the things is definitely candles. You can see I've got some candles here. I also have some essential oils, and a cheap way to have scented candles is to just drop a few essential oils into some basic tea lights. So that's one way that I create Hygge. But in order to find this or create this concept of Hygge, we really need to want to and be able to self-care. Now, self-care feels like it's something that is constantly trying to be hammered out of us, this idea that we can take time for ourselves just to notice how we're feeling and just allow ourselves to be, which is quite odd because we designate 2 times a day to brush our teeth, yet how many of us designate 2 times a day to just look after our mental well-being and to check in with ourselves? I mean, I wonder how many of us could have gravestones that read, "Was mad as a box of frogs but had great teeth." I mean, it's bizarre, but so building self-care into our day, the first thing we need to do is decide that we're going to do it, and we need to stop and we need to allow ourselves to notice how we're feeling and be open to the fact that there might be some difficult feelings there. But we need to remind ourselves that all feelings are valid, but all feelings are not facts. So all feelings are valid. There are no wrong or bad feelings, but just because we feel anxious doesn't mean it's a fact that something bad is going to happen. So we allow that feeling and we almost let that feeling sit on our hands rather than keeping it in our bodies. We notice that feeling, and you can say to yourself, I'm noticing I'm having a feeling of anxiety. And by accepting our feelings, we make space for other, possibly more helpful feelings to come and join us. So after this session, you could have a look into what Hygge is, or I would recommend reading a book called The Happiness Trap by Russ Harris, which is the idea that we are all in this trap where we believe happiness is something that we have to find and get, something that's outside ourselves, based on completing goals or based on outwardly observable achievements. Actually, if you look at Hygge, happiness is each individual moment that we create, where we can be mindful and where we can be present with ourselves and where we can appreciate small things of beauty about ourselves as well as what's around us. So after this vlog, I would encourage you to write down a few things that bring you a sense of Hygge or bring you a sense of contentment, little things, and take a few moments to just check in with yourself. Notice how you're feeling validate that feeling that we all have so much going on. If you didn't operate at 100% today, or even 50%, that's okay. Self-forgiveness is something else that is really important. And we need to forgive ourselves for not being as perfect as the ideal that we hold up to be enough. We are enough. You are enough. And that's about it for today. So I hope that has been helpful. And if you do have a candle, go and light it now and just give yourself a few minutes. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Bye from me for now.